in a park next to the Garces Hotel, and we're standing by a cannon that fought in World War I in Europe. And then in the 70s, the Oatman gunfighters came down and stole it.
What?
And they took it back and hid it over in Oatman. And there was a movement in Needles called Ransom the Cannon. Well, ATF found out about it, alcohol, tobaccos, and firearm.
Yes.
Got a hold of the Oatman gunfighters and said, you transported an unregistered firearm across state lines.
You're in trouble.
Bring it back.
All right, guys, let's go in.
This is what we call downstairs on the west end. And this space was originally occupied by prep kitchens, cold rooms for beef and meat, produce. There was a laundry here.
And those are pretty cool. That's a safe.
That's a safe that was donated to the museum by the city. And unfortunately, it sat outside for too long and it kind of got weathered. When the museum got it,
Oh, look at the detail on there.
it was locked. And they found a locksmith to open it. And the city said, there's money in it.
What?
And when they got into it, there was a penny.
Can we get it? So this is the original flooring.
Yes. And they had a guy with a bucket of Portland cement powder. And he would sprinkle it on the concrete, bucket of water with a paintbrush, sprinkle that, and then individually set those tiles.
Individually. Ah.
Then when that had set, he would come back with some more Portland cement powder, brush it into the joints, a little more water, and 100 years later, it's still here.
Intact.
The Harvey Girls kind of made the Harvey Company famous. Fred Harvey was a fastidious Englishman. He was born in 1835 in London, and he immigrated as a young man to New York and started in the food service industry, which means as a young man he was a busboy.
Started from the bottom.
But he started noticing and paying attention, and he developed what came to be known as the Harvey Standard, and it had to be adhered to. The girls, ironically, were not his idea. He would do unannounced inspections of his facilities, and he stopped in at Raton, New Mexico, and his male wait staff was gone, and it was replaced by young women. I'll tell you the story of one of them. We don't know all of their stories, obviously, but the one I'm going to tell you about was born in Georgia around the turn of the century, about 1900. In her late 20s, she got married, became pregnant, and her husband was killed in an accident. She had a brother in Kansas City. She drove herself, pregnant,
Back then.
to Kansas City, back then. The trip was delayed in Little Rock to give birth to a boy.
Oh, wow.
She got to Kansas City with her infant, moved in with her brother and families. This ain't gonna work forever. So she answered an ad for the Harvey Company. She applied, she was interviewed, she got hired. They had to be trained. Training to be a Harvey girl took 1 month. And then you had to sign a contract. So that, they didn't train you and you go work someplace else. Had to sign a contract. She did all that, and then she was assigned to Needles. The saying among the Harvey girls back then was, when you got to Needles, you either loved it and stayed, or you hated it and applied for a transfer. She loved it, she stayed.
Aww.
She married a railroader after she worked out her contract, and then sent for the little boy who she had left in Kansas City with her brother. That woman was my grandmother.
Oh, get
And
out
the little
of here.
boy was my dad.
What a wonderful story.
My family got its start because of this company and this building.
Which is why we go.
Yep. This is the front of the building. Those doors were the main entrance. This was the lunchroom. You can see the footprint of 3 horseshoe counters. These patches are where the stools were permanently attached to the floor. They would have 30 minutes, the Harvey Girls, to feed an entire trainload of people.
They were hustling.
They had a great system. About an hour out, the conductor would go through the train and ask you what you wanted to have to eat. You would have a choice between 2 entrees. He would telegraph that information down to the next Harvey house.
Telegraphed it.
So they knew how much of what to prepare. When you came in to sit down, everything would be there except your entree.
Just another trip on Route 66, Needles, California. Here we go. Feel it, Jeff?
Yes. If you gotta get unlocked to get up there, it's haunted.
Harvey started working in Kansas. He was a freight agent for a lesser railroad, and he had to travel. And he noticed that the food service was terrible. They made coffee once a week. The beans were hard, the bacon was rancid, and the wait staff was usually
Not so pretty.
not so pretty. So he had by then developed the Harvey standard, and he went to the Santa Fe Railroad and said, as you build west across the Southwest, I want to go with you and build hotels and restaurants. And the Santa Fe Railroad said, yep, let's do this.
Well, Mike, I want to tell you thank you so much. What an honor it was to get a tour by you today. The Route 66, I mean, this is it, right? The heart of Needles.
This is the Heart of Needles, and we're very proud of it. Yes, it might need a little buff job, but we're very proud of it, especially this building. As I've told you, this is where my family got its start in Needles.
I love it.
So I'm really attached to it.
Well, I appreciate your time today. Hey guys, remember, shop local, support local. Come by, take a tour, go to the museum. You will not be disappointed.
Standing tours are available starting at the museum every Saturday at 11 a.m.
High five. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day, guys.